So I saw this meme the other day that I found pretty funny and accurate. And it goes something like, when you accidentally use personality A on friend group B. I found that so relatable because I think most people have this as well, where around different friend groups and across different people they hang out with, you could have a completely different personality from one person to the next. And the funniest thing is, it's like, these people will never know that. Like, they'll never know that around this group I have a completely different persona to how I am when I'm with them. It's really interesting. And I think the annoying part of this for most people is that, we do have an ideal personality. In a perfect world, we would have our best personality and we'd be able to use that on every group, but for some reason we can't. And I wanted to know why that was. Around my core group of friends in school some good people that I eventually found, everything was so relaxed and easygoing. Never had to think too hard about what to say. The conversation would flow naturally from one thing to the next. It was never anything that serious. It was just friends goofing around, making jokes. You know how you can make jokes around your friends that you wouldn't make around other people? Your sense of humor feels compatible. You don't have to worry too much about what you say, or nothing feels forced. And you just feel kind of confident and relaxed and able to express yourself. But you don't feel like that around everyone. I've actually had other friend groups, and bear in mind, these are people that I liked, where I didn't feel like I had that level of freedom, where, we would get on, we would make jokes, but for some reason it feels like I'm holding back to some extent, or I'm second guessing myself. Should I say this? Is that a little bit dumb? And I would talk myself out of saying things, or when I did talk, it would feel a little bit forced. And for whatever reason, I never feel truly comfortable, like I'm able to fully loosen up and, sounds cliche, but be myself. So I wanted to know why that is. I wanted to dig into why it feels like we have different personalities around different people. So the first thing I've learned, and this is probably really reassuring for a lot of people. You do have a natural personality, your original personality. And that is the one that you are when you're with your close friends. The relaxed one, where everything comes naturally to you. For me, that's reassuring because that's who I want to be. That's who I want to portray myself. That's when I feel most confident and comfortable. We don't have different personality types, technically. We have different modes of personality. So I want to discuss two main modes of your personality. So you have the normal, natural one that we were talking about. And you also have one which I would describe as being in survival mode. It sounds like fucking Minecraft, doesn't it? Survival mode. So yeah. So an interesting analogy that I have is imagine you were being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger. Imagine you're getting stalked through the fucking woods by a saber-toothed tiger, and you're aware this fucking animal is following you, and it's ready to just fucking tear you limb from limb. What would that feel like? What would the feelings be in your body in that moment? It would be panic. You'd be really alert. Your body would be tense. You would find it extremely difficult to think of anything but survival. Literally, I'm in extreme danger right now. The only thing I should be thinking of is not dying. And that comes from the nervous system. That comes from the nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight, from keeping you out of dangerous situations. That is our caveman brain working. But obviously in the modern day, we are not at risk of random animals, or We don't have as many like immediate threats in our environment, at least when it comes, at least in like a life or death sense. Like we're a lot safer in general. But the nervous system still functions like almost just as much. It's just the danger in our environment, we perceive it as something different. We still have these tribal instincts like baked into us, into our nervous system, to protect us from things like rejection, embarrassment, ridicule, things that could have gotten us like thrown out of the tribe originally. And we apply those to social situations. We evaluate social situations based on how safe we feel. Like, what is the risk that I could get rejected or experience some kind of emotional pain here? And that is what determines which personality you come out with. So hopefully this is starting to make sense. Like around your friends, around your like core group of friends, your best friends, the ones you feel completely safe around, it's no coincidence that that is when your nervous system is not activated at all and you are able to act naturally. But if I put you in a situation around new people, or I don't know, let's say you're doing something kind of stressful, like you're talking to a girl, or even around some friends who you like, but for whatever reason there's like a little bit of anxiety there. Like maybe they've mocked you in the past, maybe one time you said something dumb and they all laughed, they tried to embarrass you on purpose. I've definitely had that be the case. That is enough for your nervous system to interpret like there is a level of threat in this environment, like I'm not totally safe. You're going to be like in survival mode, even if it's just like 10% survival mode. And that affects your ability to act natural, to portray yourself in the way that you want, your natural personality. When the nervous system's activated, and this is what I found really interesting, your creativity centers in your brain, and the part of your brain responsible for like humor shuts down, because you're not thinking of anything but your survival. And that is why you really struggle to like think of anything to say in those situations where you're like a bit nervous or tense. Because the part of your brain responsible for like thought, coming up with things to say, or being funny, it's literally shut down. That is why we like freeze in certain situations. It's not that you're like an awkward person or you're shy or you don't know how to talk to people. The part of your brain responsible for like thinking and being funny and like being witty, it's literally impossible to access in those situations. So yeah, that's the truth of it. You're not an awkward person. You're probably not a shy person. Your nervous system is just fired up. You don't feel safe in this environment for whatever reason. Sometimes that's justified. Like the first solution I would give to this is like, just, it sounds more simple than it is, but don't hang around with people who repeatedly show poor behavior to you. I've had friend groups where it does feel quite internally competitive and it's all about like making jokes at other people's expense. Like I can tolerate a bit of that, but when it becomes like the dynamic of the whole friend group, it's just making fun of other people, mocking them, putting them down. That makes me feel like I'm constantly under threat. Like some people would call me a pussy for that. Personally, I think that's childish. I don't want to be in a friend group like that because I know it's not good for me. It degrades your confidence little by little. And that can alter your perception of like social situations over time. So your nervous system does feel more on guard in social situations in general, which is not a good thing. But there are some times when you store these emotional memories, this emotional pain from the past, and you bring that into new social situations, maybe around new people who you don't fully know, or any kind of situation where it feels like you're being evaluated or there is some kind of risk of you being judged. The people might be perfectly nice, but we're carrying that old fear. We still think we're kind of in danger. And that's where this can kind of be a bit problematic. So I'm going to teach you like a really quick fire way that I found this quite effective in just like immediately feeling more safe in my environment, whether it's like unfamiliar group of people or like, I don't know, I am talking to a girl. So I want you to reframe your thoughts as, my job here is not to impress these people. It's not to be liked by them. It's not to make any sort of impression on them. It's simply to have a good time and enjoy myself. To shift the focus from like, because you know, whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of the time, you know, we're afraid of judgment and, sounds cliche, but the opinions of others, of their like evaluation. That's what we fixate on. And how likely they are to reject us. When really what we should be focusing on is like, are we having a good time around these people? That's what I try and do. Like, I use conversations. The way I see social situations is like, if I'm not trying to have fun, what's the point of even being in this conversation? In general, I don't take life too seriously, but I bring this kind of energy into my conversations. I'm playful, I'm making jokes. If something funny comes into my head, 9 times out of 10, I say it. Sometimes it's a little bit inappropriate. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that's authentic to me. I like to point out the funny things in life, and whether people like it or not, that's up to them. My priority is having a good time. You know, in a way, I kind of view the world as for my own entertainment, not in a malicious way. I'm just trying to have fun. And the more I laugh, the more I ask the questions that I actually want to answer, the more I am naturally curious, and I ask things, or I explore things with people that, you know, I want to know more about. The more I do that, the more relaxed I feel, the more my natural personality starts to open up, because especially with the laughter, that's sending signals to my brain. I can relax, I can be comfortable here. I'm safe, I'm not in any danger. Playfulness is the word that I really want to use here, because whenever I'm feeling kind of playful, like a little bit like not taking things too seriously, kind of like a little bit like trying to point out the funny side in things, not take myself too seriously, that is when I feel most at ease. That's when I can access like the witty part of my brain, the good-humoured part of my brain. And I feel like when I'm putting out that energy into the world, that's attractive, you know, that brings more people in, because I'm authentically being myself. The people who don't like that, they will know straight away, and they know not to waste time with me. But the people who do resonate with that energy, they're drawn into my circle, and they'll want to spend more time with me. This is now kind of turned into like a debate about like why like authenticity in itself is like just the root to all good things in life. But that's the gist of it. It's stop trying to impress others, as hard as that is, and try to shift the focus towards having fun, having a good time yourself. And that is how you unlock your most natural personality, the one you ideally want to embody. That's all, my friends.